Hey guys, welcome back to another video. In this video, I'll be sharing all my recommendations for staying safe whilst you're traveling. The past few years, I have traveled by myself all the way from Honduras, which is said to be the murder capital of the world, all the way to Egypt, which also doesn't have the best reputation. I spent 8 months living in Mexico, spending quite a bit of time in Mexico City as well, which is notoriously an unsafe city. But throughout all of this, I have always been perfectly fine. And that is because there are a few things that I do to avoid anything from happening, but also just in case something does happen, there's a few more things that you should make sure you do. So let's get into it. Let's start with the things you can do if anything does happen. First things first, you will need a good insurance. Get a travel insurance. Make sure enough is covered when it comes to theft, when it comes to just physical injuries. Make sure you are insured well so that when anything does happen, you have this to back you up. Second of all, if anything happens and you need to call the emergency number, these are different for every single destination. So make sure you know the local emergency number. Being from Belgium, I have no clue what it's like to be in an earthquake or in a tsunami and what to do, because it's simply there is no danger of this around here. So in school or from our family, we do not get taught how to act when these situations do arise. So definitely look into what to do in case of an earthquake or in case of a tsunami, because me personally, I've been in a few earthquakes now in Central America and in Mexico, and they can be so scary, especially if you do not know what to do. So please educate yourself on this. Another thing you can do, just as a woman going out by herself, is take some self-defense classes. I haven't done this, but personally, I now have a baby niece and I would love to take her to a self-defense class so that if you do get attacked in the streets, you know how to react to it. Other than that, of course, before taking off, you can do research into the most common scams on the destination, unsafe neighborhoods, and how to avoid any of these. Usually there's quite a bit of information that you can just look up ahead of time. Once you arrive on the destination, you can also just chat to the locals, make friends with them. Usually everywhere I've been, people have been so accommodating, so welcoming, and they will know better than anyone what to look out for, where not to go, and that will be a great source of information to keep you safe. But let's go back to arriving in a place. When I arrive somewhere, first of all, I make sure that I already have a map downloaded offline of where I'm going. The entire country, preferably, or just the regions that I will be going to. Because if you happen to get into a situation where you don't have service, you'll still know where to go. But to make sure that I do have service straight away is I get a local SIM card or even an eSIM before I even arrive. Just to make sure that I do have service as soon as I arrive, I can look up where to go. I can take an Uber, which is going to be much safer than a regular taxi because Uber also has a safety button. So if anything happens, there is like a panic button built into the app of Uber. I also try to make sure that I don't arrive at night. So preferably I'll try to arrive during the daytime. When it comes to arriving in a new place, you will most likely be following directions of your phone. Instead of looking on your phone, making it very obvious that you are not from the area, you can put your headphones in and listen to the directions rather than having your phone out. That way it'll look like you know where you're going, you've been here before, even though you'll still look like a tourist with the bags on, and also you won't have your phone in your hand for them to snatch it out, which apparently is a thing in Colombia, but I haven't been yet. But yeah, there they say, no dar papaya. Don't give anyone papaya. Don't give anyone the opportunity to rob you. Just don't make it easy for them. So yeah, try to listen to directions through your headphones. This way you also stay aware of your surroundings and anything that's happening around you. And I'll also make sure that my accommodation is never too far away from the bus station or wherever I'm going. Then once I am in a destination, I try to not walk around at night by myself in areas that aren't really busy. I prefer sticking to the city center where there will be lots of people around still. those areas will usually be safe. But if it is a bit more outside of the city center or a bit quieter, I'll just try and take an Uber. In certain situations, for example, in Cape Town, if you want to have dinner in Cape Town city center, downtown, not a good area. If you go out there, great, you'll have a great night, but just take an Uber from the door back to your accommodation. It's not worth it. Of course, once you've made friends, you won't be walking alone anymore, but in certain cases, like in Cape Town downtown, even with a group of friends, I wouldn't walk around at night. Also in Cape Town, I came across an ATM that was fraudulent or that was being used to get people's cards or whatever. In that case, I made sure that I had data right away. I got to block the card. I just got in contact with my bank and they canceled the card for me. But I also had extra cards on me so that I wasn't stuck without having a card on me. So always make sure you have plenty of cards so that you can cancel one if needed. And of course, if you do go out, just be careful with drinking too much. You want to still be aware of your surroundings at all times and be able to take care of yourself. Whenever you're traveling, people will ask you questions, be it a bus driver or taxi driver, just people in the streets. They will just even being friendly and not meaning any harm, people will ask questions. But when they do ask if you have a boyfriend, yes, you always do, maybe even a husband. Even if you're a lesbian, doesn't matter. If they ask you if you're alone, you're never alone. You're about to meet up with your lover, your friend, your family who is local to the area. You are never alone. And this is not your first time here. You know your way around, you know people here, etc. That way, if anyone does mean harm to you, they will be a lot less inclined to do so because they think, you know this place, people here know you. If anything does happen to you, you'll be missed and people will be on it right away. And never, never, never tell anyone where you're staying. But of course, when it comes to these questions and conversations, always just trust your instincts. If your instincts tell you not to trust a person, listen to it. Now, when it comes to taking care of your possessions, making sure nothing gets stolen, always try to leave your most valuable items in the lockers of the hostel room. Hostels always have lockers. I always dress very modestly. I don't wear flashy handbags or jewelry. I always look very, very basic, so it looks like I'm not really rich. I don't really have much to rob. I always have all my valuables in a fanny pack that I wear across the front of my body, because with a backpack people can always still reach in from the back, but having everything on my chest just makes me a lot more aware of what's happening around my valuables. If you do go to a beach and you need to leave your valuables on the beach, there are certain waterproof bags that you can actually go swimming with so that you don't need to leave anything of value on the beach. I will link one in the description below as well. When it comes to being pickpocketed, for example, in Mexico City, it is so common that people get pickpocketed when they are on the metro. The metro in Mexico City has female-only carriages. Usually they are already a lot less busy, but also I just trust women a little bit more than I trust men. But then again, I would still be very wary and keep an eye on my belongings. When it comes to physical safety or just your health in general, definitely make sure that going into the trip you have the necessary medication on you just for diarrhea or any food poisoning that you could get. I love carrying these charcoal tablets with me just in case if I do see there was some raw chicken in a meal, like at the end of a meal, then I'll just go ahead and take one of my charcoal tablets. Charcoal will filter all of the poison out of your system pretty much. So if I do have food poisoning, I always take some of those. In general, careful with chicken. Always make sure it's thoroughly cooked, because my dad did end up in hospital with salmonella. And also something that's, for example, in Bali, the Bali belly, and in Delhi, the Delhi belly. Make sure that food is always cooked on a very high temperature, like food in the streets. I've never been sick of, because I can see them prepared for me in a hot steaming pan. If it's been hot enough, any bacteria have been killed. What's worse is raw veggies. Raw veggies like a salad, something like this, could be rinsed with bad water. and that could have bacteria that will affect your system. Same with fruits, anything raw is a hazard. Same with ice cubes. If you're unsure if the ice cubes are like safe, try and double check. Aside from getting sick from food, you could get sick from mosquitoes. Dengue fever, malaria. Make sure that in jungle regions, make sure that in tropical regions, you always wear insect repellents, even during the day, because dengue mosquitoes are biting more often during the day than during the night. So do make sure that if you are going to the tropics, to have some good insect repellent on. Anyway, those are my recommendations for how to stay safe and healthy whilst you are on a solo trip or just any trip in general. I hope you found it useful. If you did, then definitely give this video a thumbs up. Subscribe if you want to see any of my next videos. Up next, I am going to Indonesia and the Philippines, and I am so excited. I cannot wait, you guys. So I hope to see you in the next video. Bye!